Okay. Hi.
Thank you so much for joining this talk. This is Joan Pilsbury of Green Burial, Massachusetts, and it's a wonderful organization, and it's in need right now for our earth, for our community, for our hearts. Very grateful that you're willing to share with us your knowledge and your experience in trying to turn a green cemetery into a reality. How did you come here, and what would you like to share about it right now?
Well, I joined Green Burial, Massachusetts about 10 years ago after listening to Mark Harris on National Public Radio. He was interviewed and so I read his book, and then I contacted what was then Funeral Consumers Alliance of Western Massachusetts.
Mhm.
And Green Burial was part of that. And then eventually in 2016, we became incorporated, and so we are an entity of ourselves. So that's how I came to be. So we've been working for 10 years or more to try to find some land. And I know you've been sending us land possibilities. That's wonderful. And
I'm,
it's not easy.
I'm always peeking.
That's good.
I have my eagle eyes out for a spot that this could actually materialize.
Yeah.
So I know we've had this pandemic come upon us, and things have been derailed all over in every aspect of our lives. How do you feel the organization is standing right now? And
Well, we virtually monthly, and we're continuing to work on our work with our partners, our land trust partners,
Mhm.
and trying to find land. And also, where right now we're working on our business plan.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of work to do. We want to be ready to roll as soon as we find land and can open the cemetery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you been in touch with and included any traditional funeral directors in this journey? Or I would be interested to ask you if you feel like the community of Green Burial is in its own echo chamber, or do you feel like it's reaching a more traditional perspective?
Well, we certainly are open to talk, and we do work with funeral directors in the industry when we have green burials. Not we particularly, but maybe assisting the public who seek the assistance of the funeral directors. Yes, some of them are very, very open to green burial. In fact, we just had, I'm a cemeterian. I help administer the Green Cemetery is one of our 5 cemeteries in Gilmass, which is where I live. So I'm one of the commissioners, and so we work with some of the funeral homes for people who, we have one burial actually in our Green Cemetery, which went very well.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very nice.
So if you were to narrow it down to maybe 3 top reasons to switch over to this way of burying our dead, what would those be for you?
Well, first of all, before I talk about the 3 top ways, I think of green burial as an additional option, not as something that it's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly many people appreciate the traditional forms of recognizing the dead and ceremonies and rituals, and that's all good. But after reading Mark Harris's book, and because I believe in reduce, reuse, and recycle, and I like simplicity. That was why I was so drawn, I think, to this green burial movement, was because I don't want to be burying a lot of resources in the ground, like metal and concrete and embalming fluid and things like that, that could potentially be toxic waste dumps in the cemeteries. Um, so that's probably my number one reason. And then a simple burial at a depth of 3 to 4 feet is where the aerobic bacterial activity helps the decomposition of the body. And so that's again, it goes back to my values of simplicity and reducing the things that you put in the ground. A shroud or a cardboard box or a pine box is plenty. That's all you really need. So, but as we have investigated, not all land is conducive to having a cemetery. So it can't be too wet or too rocky, because that won't allow for burials at all.
It's so tricky. Yeah.
It
The ones that I've sent to you, I'm like, this would be amazing. It's 75.
I know.
What could possibly be the problem? And then you peek underneath and there's a whole other story.
There is, yeah. It looks good on the surface, but oftentimes it's what's underneath that matters, because that's where we're going.
Right. We are.
And so Green Burial, Massachusetts is interested in having a conservation cemetery. So we would follow the conservation guidelines and work, and that's why we work with the land trust, so that they would hold the conservation easement, and Green Burial would administer the burial. I mean the cemetery part.
Yes, that makes sense, because why not serve two goals, to conserve and to replenish?
Right. And that sets it up for an area that can have a multi-use function too. It's not just a cemetery with lots of upright stones. Those are attractive too, some people might say, but to walk in a woodland, particularly like what you have behind you, you could have burials in that woodland, and it would be a lovely place to go birding or walking, or so there's an open space management to that idea too.
Yes, and also changing the touchstones of what we grieve upon as well. Like a headstone is something that we've accepted as a place to put our grief, but it could, that took time to develop that connection, and now it could take time to develop the connection to putting your grief upon a tree, or your remembrance and your.
Well, this is it's really going back to the way it used to be before the turn of the century. It's when the turn of the century and the Civil War and all of the embalming and the preservation of the body and things like that, that all kind of changed. And we gave the funeral care, the death care, to the funeral industry instead of having it being done at home. All good, but this is another option.
Well, yes, the options, the empowerment of knowing that there are different choices is what I love, that's your perspective on it, that your way it's not your way or the highway.
No, right. It's not a mandate, it's an option.
Yes.
So those are kind of my reasons. And it's in alignment with our organization, Green Burial, Massachusetts. So we also help towns and municipalities to have green cemeteries or green areas in their cemetery, so that people can have that option without in a
I
separate
was
cemetery.
trying to find a number on that in Massachusetts where there are green sections where you don't have to have a vault. I couldn't grasp that. Do you know how many?
I don't know how many, but of course, Mount Auburn Cemetery, which is the
Huge.
gold standard, yes, they have, it's called a hybrid cemetery, and they have green burials intermixed with the conventional burials.
Excellent.
They do a great job. And many towns or cities would have a separate place. Like Gill has a separate cemetery. It's right next to a conventional cemetery, but it's a woodland area, so that it's just separate. But you can incorporate it into the conventional cemetery too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where do you see it going? Do you see, I read something recently in a law journal that there's going to be tax incentives given to have green burials.
Oh, really? I haven't heard that. That's
Yeah, an
interesting.
environmental tax incentive
Oh,
to go green.
well,
Even
that's a good idea.
yes, yes. I was. I think more will be revealed in that way as well.
Is this Massachusetts or national?
It was a random search. I think it was in the Nevada Law Journal.
I see. So states that are actively working on their environmental
Mm-hmm.
impact, probably.
Yes.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I can send you the link happily.
That would be great.
Found just a few days ago.
Oh, good.
That was a great idea.
Good, good, good. Oh, so, are there any other questions that you?
I want to keep doing this. I want to just keep our door open, and I can't wait to see where it's going. And I really want to help expose this conversation to more people and have it be something that we're all working together to
Well,
help
that's definitely
provide
needs.
this
Yeah,
option.
good. That's great. That'd be wonderful. Yes, we try to get our word out we go and do presentations. Of course, now we have been kind of a little stymied by that, but by the COVID, but we are developing a virtual presentation too, so that will be something that we can be doing in the future to help get the word out.
Yes.
And we have a newsletter that goes out about twice a year.
And what's the best way for people to sign up for that? Just through your website?
Yeah, through our website. Just go to the website and ask to be on our mailing list.
Okay, I'll put the link below in this video, and
That'd be great.
yeah, just to keep it flowing. And who knows, maybe you'll have a bunch more peepers out there like
That would be wonderful.
You'll get a flood of all these options.
Right.
Because it's there somewhere. It's just it's playing hard to get, I guess.
That's good. That would be great, because we have, I answer the phone calls for Green Burial, Massachusetts too, and people are always saying, "Oh, your website is wonderful, and there's so much good information, and I'm going to send it all over to all my friends." I think, "Oh, that's good. Keep doing it. Sign up." Because the more people are aware, the better off it'll be.
Well, I think it's just a nice way to give back to humanity. Stephen Jenkinson, he talks about this indebtedness that we all have to being born and dying, and it's I want this to be part of my legacy. So I can't die until I help this become a reality. That's my goal. But it was lovely. It was so lovely talking with you, and I fully appreciate all your work that you're doing with your team, and we're just going to keep sharing.
That's right. That'd be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joan.
Okay.
That's
bye-bye.
From Green Burial, Massachusetts. We'll see you so soon.
Okay. Good luck with your